There you go.
I'm now going to turn it over to Solicitor Hall for a public hearing, liquor license transfer for Swatara Diner.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. Now is the time and place for the hearing for a intermunicipal liquor license transfer application for Swatara Diner LLC. Is there an applicant present? Want to come forward? Just want to introduce yourself, and then I have a couple of things that we kind of get started with, and then you can give your presentation.
Good evening to everyone present in the hall. I may have some problem while speaking because of some language barrier, but I'll try to speak as fluent I could. First of all, I'm a resident of Lower Paxton Township, and then I do some businesses in Swatara Township. My first name is Netra, and my last name is Acharya. And I'm involved in doing some businesses in non-medical and medical home healthcare. So that is my introduction for now.
Do you want to spell your name for us? That way, we're taking the minutes down. That way, we have it for the record.
Okay, sure. First name spells N as in Nancy, E-T-R-A, and last name spells A-C-H-A-R-Y-A.
Okay. First two things I have here, for purpose of the record, is the intermunicipal liquor license transfer application. And then the second thing is the proof of publication. So both of those will be entered into record. Just so you understand how this is going to proceed, hopefully relatively quickly tonight, is that we'll go forward with your presentation. And then if there are any parties who wish to introduce themselves, we'll make a determination on that. Assuming there are no parties opposing it, then we'll have an opportunity for public comment. And then after that, the board will have the opportunity to vote or make a decision and comment on the application.
Sure,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you.
So with those two things having been introduced in the record, if you want to give your presentation, feel free to do so.
Okay. Again, myself, Netra Acharya. This is a municipality liquor license transfer from Lower Paxton to Swatara Township. The address would be 5610 Dairy Street, Harrisburg, PA 17101. The area would be approximately about 2,800 square feet. And then it would have about 72 seats. So I also have the past experience of restaurant that I did in Dairy Street itself, which is called Bojangar. I sold them in 2020, I believe. So
And I'm sorry, can you say, just for clarity purposes, can you say that again? What were you previously?
sorry for that. I had a restaurant experience before what I'm doing now. It was called Bojangar, and it still exists in Dairy Street that I sold in 2020.
Is that the same property or a different property?
The property I'm talking is 5610 Dairy Street now, and then that was close to CVS Pharmacy. The one that I'm talking now is, it was a Brightwood College in the past, so attached to the building, which is called Dairy Shopping Center for now.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
All right. Also, I don't have public experience speaking. So.
No, you're doing fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay. The second thing would be, I would be a little unique than any other restaurants in the area. I would explain how I would be more unique than anyone else in the area. Okay. These are my home rules, but I have to discuss with my counselor once he approves. And then these does not bias with the liquor board rules and the law of the Pennsylvania. I will go forward with these, but I have to talk to the lawyer. Okay. Um, all visits to the restaurant must be by appointment only. Second would be customer can make appointment at the door using iPads that we will keep there. Uh, on the door using iPads provided by the restaurant, call or their phone can be used to call. And then there will be an app that they can book for the tables. Thirdly, driver license will be strictly checked upon arrival. Even they register through the app once they are in the door. A customer who violates the guidelines will receive a yellow card first for a minor offense, an orange card for a more serious offense, and a red card for intolerable behavior. These cards will be provided in person without violating the customer's privacy. Once a red card is given, the customer will not be allowed to enter the facility for 1 year. So this is how it is going to happen: is either we will have a card on the staff pocket, and then he or she will not violate the customer's right. The privacy will not be violated. Secondly, all the customers that enters the facility will get a razor. So the razor will beep and says the food is ready. And then the second, if they're doing some violation, not acting as the home rules, then second, the yellow light will pop on the razor. And then third, orange, and then if it is not tolerable, red will pop on their buds on their razor. Disrespect to any elderly and woman will not be tolerated. We will not have red card or yellow card for this. We will immediately ask them to leave the property. Intoxicated customer will not be served. If any bartender suspect that the customer has consumed alcohol outside of the facility and then had arrived, the customer will not be served. The maximum time frame the customers can be allowed to be in the facility will be less than 2.5 hours. The restaurant door from inside will be locked at all time. Only the staff of the restaurant have the access to open it. So meaning, like, somebody cannot come into the door and then open the door for safety purpose. And then Swatara Township Police and Army veterans can take advantage of 20% discount on all the foods. And then this is all I have, how I will be unique. This might look some funny, but this is what I think would be a unique one. And then I already said that, and also I have learned about RAMP. I have passed the certification. I will hire the employees once the restaurant offers. And then also the employee that I would be hiring would be fully trained. And also they will have the RAMP certification passed. So I don't know how good I did. This is all I can tell.
Just a couple follow-up from me, just to make sure the commissioners understand your application fully. It sounds like it's going to be, the majority of your sales is going to be
Food, yes.
based. You said 80% food and 20% alcohol estimated in your application.
Right.
Sure is.
I appreciate the uniqueness of your lack of tolerance policy for disturbances. At this point, are there any questions from the Board of Commissioners?
I have one question. Did you serve alcohol at your prior establishment as well?
No, I haven't. I never did that. And I have good friends that I could learn. And also I'm a good learner. I can quickly learn things.
I don't really have any other questions.
Any of the other members of the board?
I was just curious, the way you're planning on operating your business, have you ever seen that done before that way, or?
I haven't seen these in the United States, but these are very effective in Malaysia, Japan, some other countries. So only purpose of this thing is like it will be a very safe place for a people or professional people that they can feel more safe coming into the building.
It sounds, I don't want to put words in your mouth, it sounds like you intend this to be a family establishment. Is that accurate?
Sorry.
Family-friendly establishment?
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Anything else from the board, commissioners? Are there any interested parties here tonight? All right. With that, we will open it up to public comment. Is there any public comment? Okay. Sir, please come up to the podium, sir. If you want to, sir, if you want to have a seat real quick, we have a member of the public who's going to come up and comment.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Can I sit there?
Yes, absolutely. If you could state your name and address.
Deborah Harvey, 105 South 47th Street, Lawton, PA. I'm totally confused as to why you're considering this a restaurant when you need to gain access by, am I understanding this correctly? I'm going to have to get online and ask for access. The door's going to be locked at all times. Is that correct?
Well, ma'am, again, you're not permitted to cross-examine.
Okay, well, can you find out for me then? Because we need to know these things.
Again, this is your opportunity to comment. It's not
And
your
I am
opportunity to ask
commenting.
questions.
I'm very uncomfortable with, in my neighborhood, having an establishment that is locked doors. And the only way that you can get in is with permission is it a private club or is it a restaurant open to the public? I guess is what I'm trying to ascertain.
And my only response to that is those type of things, those distinctions are drawn by the state at the state level. It's not something that we deal with here.
I'm not accusing you of anything or implying anything that you in any way have any involvement in this. But as a resident of the township and being so close to that establishment where I reside, I have some concerns about safety, even though the gentleman is saying that it's safe. Why do you have a restaurant with a liquor license that the doors need to be locked? I'm sorry, I don't get that. Maybe that happens in Malaysia. This is the United States. We don't have restaurants that are locked unless it's a private club and you pay dues to be a member of a private club. Are we going to pay dues to go to this club, or how are you going to be selected to be permitted to go inside? And how is this safe when there's a door locked? Is this a safety violation, a fire violation? I mean, can anybody see what I'm trying to say here? I feel very uncomfortable. Pizza Hut's getting a liquor license. Now they're getting a liquor license. We have liquor licenses all over Dairy Street, and it's unsafe driving out there. And the police can't be everywhere to protect us from all of the DUIs that are out there. We see them all the time because we're out there as well. And adding more to our neighborhood, in my opinion, is just very unsafe. And I don't even know how it's legal that we can have it in a locked establishment. You have to get online and get permission and, before you're allowed to go in, and then they police you. They're the police of the building. We have police. Why, we pay police here in America. I'm sorry. I really think this needs to be, I'm asking the police and the fire department, this needs to be investigated further. Something's not right when America starts to allow this type of an establishment. You want to go to the 48 Club and pay your dues? Do you want to go to a firehouse bar, pay your dues? Fine. Then that's a private club. If you're saying this is a restaurant and a bar open to the public, a family establishment, then I have a problem with that. So we need to find out what in the world is going on here. Is anybody going to look into this, or, am I allowed to ask that, or?
Well, you're allowed to make comments and
Okay. So my comment then, will be, I am requesting that our police department and our fire department, as well as our board of commissioners, do something so that we have a better understanding of what this establishment is going to be in my neighborhood. And that's all I'll say. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Damn it.
Thank you. If you could state your name and address.
Lisa Ryder, 6140 Hopper Drive. I share the same concerns as Deb Harvey just had shared. But to further think about these liquor licenses, I mean, these people are coming up with these establishments that aren't even like a thing yet. It's like they're in the works, or it might be, or whatever. So when I looked up Swatara Diner and online, it said something about Swatara Diner in Camp Hill. And I don't know like if that's affiliated with this idea or not. But two, I have a concern about the establishment being up. Because God forbid something happened in this restaurant and our police department can't get in, or our fire department can't get in. And, I just think that restaurant should be there, like physically there, and physically operating or almost ready to open before they should even think about a liquor license. I mean, this is a diner. The way you described it definitely doesn't sound like a diner to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? If you could state your name and address.
I'm gonna break it, so. No, that's part of it. Tom Connolly, 345 North Harrisburg Street. I'm not here to question the restaurant policy or security, but I will say that I'm pretty sure everybody is familiar with this gentleman, Netra, who opened the Bohan Gar, and I was a guest with our public safety director at his restaurant on Dairy Street. He already has experience. He is a principal owner of the Dairy Mall and other businesses in Swatara Township. During COVID, he had COVID clinics for Nepali and Bhutanese citizens that had language issues. Hundreds of people received their vaccine at his location. I believe he's on the township website for doing cleanups on Dairy Street as a responsible business owner. And I would trust that if he wants to have some security measures in his restaurant, that he thinks is similar to what he has seen in other countries. I'm not really going to question that. But I do know we have issues with some restaurants where we feel like they don't have, and restaurants and bars where they don't have proper security. We've had law enforcement issues. So, you can put the negatives out about anybody, but this is a respected businessman in Swatara Township. I'm going to go out on a limb here, but do you also own the Brightwood Kaplan?
Again.
Yes.
Just
I'm sorry. I just want
public comment.
I shouldn't have asked him, but I was pretty confident that we had a college that was vacant in the township that was Kaplan Institute, if you're as old as me, and then it was the Brightwood Institute. He also owns that. He has jewelry stores, a pharmacy, and incredible tenants that contribute to the tax base of Swatara Township. And it sounds like he's looking to add another business and improve an additional property. So I'm here to say that I'm confident that he will be a great business owner on the ever-changing Dairy Street corridor. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Okay. Seeing none, at this point, are there any other comments from the Board of Commissioners? And before we begin that, I'll say this. The board has a number of opportunities tonight in terms of options of what to do. We can convene into an executive session following this to discuss if we need to. The board can certainly proceed to a vote on the resolution, or the board has the opportunity to table the matter for future investigation. So with that, I'll open up to board comment if there is any.
I just want to say thank you for the presentation.
Is there any other comments from the board?
No, is now the time to make
Well, if the applicant wants to come up, if you have something additional to say before the board acts, absolutely, please.
No, I would just like to remind my first sentence that I spoke here, that all the rules that I have read is not that we would be doing it before. If it bias with the liquor board, or if it bias with the law of PA. If it bias, we will not follow that guidelines. We will follow a regular guidelines. If that does not bias with the law of PA and with the liquor board, then we will certainly go with this. So just want to make clear about it. I'm not being too rude for what I'm talking about.
Understood. Any additional board comment? Okay, Madam President, with that, we will close the hearing, and I'll turn it back to you as to whether, how you'd like to proceed.
Hearing is adjourned and we're back in regular meeting. I would like to request if there's a motion to enter into executive session for a short time to discuss the legal parameters.
Motion.
Is there a second?
second.
We're going to enter into executive. Is there any discussion? Any negative votes? Seeing none, we're going to enter into executive session for a short time.
Oh, really?
I believe it's Sunday. I can't help more because I gotta get canceled. I said to read about this, and she said, I can probably help you on Saturday. What time is it? 6:30, I'll be there. Okay, I'll be there.
Oh, great, thank you.
She said, I'm good. As long as it's taxing out the morphine, I'm usually against it. I got to get the turnover on. I got another grant.
That's great, that's a good.
Okay, but I'll be there
You can always do one of
Saturday.
the 2 days, that's what it comes out.
Yeah, I can go Saturday. Okay, I'll be there at 6:30. Okay. Okay.
Down from 544 last year.
But even if we have ready to go. You just tell them, who doesn't behave.
And our first one is once in our
But I'll help.
we were supposed to schedule. Then that said, oh, you're doing good. And then he changed the
Yeah. I got Mike's blood pressure. He did like me after that. No, you're like, you invite me all the time, go play basketball. Todd has baseball. Baseball, yeah. That I might have to fill. Yeah. I know, we had it right away. Right. That's how it works. That old man was never leaving the house. We're right there.
Yeah, he did the overland stuff. He expanded like what? So he does overland.
When you're driving.
Yes. That, you know, the overlay.
And no typing. No, I just wanted to look at something. Go ahead. No, you're good.
Like that.
I know you're not working on that lights the other day. Yes. Did you change them? Are they all working? I don't know. I didn't look. But I saw you were down there. Yeah, so I switched everything over, rewired all those lights, and put them all LED. So they should be, if you think that tonight, or I think when I'm here, I'll try to swing them and look and make sure. Because there was 5 of them. There was 5. There was 5. Yeah. 2 that corner, bottom, and then 3 of the sides. So I switched them all over. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I saw you work on that. I haven't been by. No, that's all right. And I keep forgetting. I thought that you had to work for us. I said, so you were there doing some work. Yeah, so I got what I needed. So, I mean, basically, I ended up, I knew what my plan was to do is switch up the parts that they got me. It's just, it's not gonna work. It's too much work. So I just switched them to all LED. Got a LED bulb that was selectable. So there's different colors to it. And so it's like 3K, 4K, 5K for the brightness. And then the color had like some different color to it as well. So as long as there's some light. Yeah, let me know. With 2 of them being out, it was starting to get a little dark. Yeah, yes, for sure. Almost maybe a safety. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Let me know if you get up there and you see it line, even if you just shoot me a message and let me know. Yeah. Okay, I'll check that. Okay, all right. Sounds good. Thanks. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yep.
This meeting is reconvened. We had an executive session to discuss the legal matters surrounding this liquor license transfer for Swatara Diner. I'm going to turn it over to the solicitor at this time.
Thank you, Madam President. So before the board is a resolution that would authorize the transfer of the liquor license from its present location, currently in Dauphin County and Lower Paxton Township, to Swatara Township. This is necessary pursuant to state law. And really, the purpose of this is to allow the board to consider any preliminary matters. But in reality, should the board consider the resolution approving the intermunicipal liquor license transfer tonight, the ultimate liquor license application for the board's clarification, for the public's clarification, is subject to the liquor license board approval. So really the only thing that's being authorized is the potential transfer into Swatara Township should it be approved tonight. And that is subject to state approval.
Is there a motion to consider resolution R-2023-28 liquor license transfer for Swatara Diner? In your packet, you have a copy of the resolution. Upon your review, I'll take a motion.
Motion.
Commissioner Ellis, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Varner, is there any discussion? Are there any negative votes? Seeing none, R-2023-28 is approved unanimously. Congratulations. Are there any visitors requesting comments at this time? Any visitors? Please come forward, state your name and address. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Mary Klaus, 447 Pritchard Court. I'm also the president of the Chambers Hill Fire Company, where I'm a firefighter and an emergency medical technician. I know this is unconventional, but I really hope to talk to you in executive session about a personnel matter. I know over the months I've contacted you by text messages, emails, letters, phone calls, and in person. And I wanted to talk to you about the Chambers Hill Fire Company. We really need some firefighters. And I would like to talk to you about our need for them and about some personnel matters, especially in regard to one member who is working his tail off as we speak. He's repairing some toilets up there that needed fixed. Works every day, all day for us. Has also been and is a driver of the fire engine, has a background in the fire service, and also a background of service to this municipality as a longtime employee here. So I would ask that you entertain the idea of allowing a member of the public to say something to you in executive session. And I would also ask you to help the fire companies that so desperately need volunteers. This township depends on the police department, which is paid, fully staffed, and a very good police department. But it also depends on the fire service for another kind of emergency. And we're staffed by volunteers. The township needs to support the volunteers at all stations just as much as you support the police department. And so I'd ask you to do so, and I thank you for your support. And finally, a reminder that this Saturday is the Chambers Hill Fire Company first chicken barbecue of 2023. So we'll be spending tomorrow working on chickens. Tonight we were cleaning potatoes before we came here, and we're working on things, and we should have a really good dinner for you. We start serving usually a little sooner, but no later than 10:30 a.m. in our drive-through up at the firehouse. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary. Are there any other visitors requests and comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to motion to approve the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Commissioner Tuckey, is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Varner, is there any discussion? Are there any negative votes? Seeing none, the agenda is approved unanimously. Motion to approve items on consent agenda. In your packet, you have the consent agenda, and as well as all documents. Is there a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda?
Motion.
Commissioner Tuckey, is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Varner, is there any discussion? Are there any negative votes? Seeing none, the items on the consent agenda are approved unanimously. Consideration of minutes. In your packet, you have minutes from May 3rd, 2023. Upon your review, I will take a motion to accept the minutes.
Motion.
Commissioner Ellis, Commissioner Tuckey is the second.
Second.
Is there, Commissioner Tuckey is the second. Is there any negative votes?
No.
Or is there any discussion? Sorry. Any negative votes? Seeing none, the minutes from May 3rd, 2023 are approved unanimously. Reports. Monthly reports were presented on May 3rd at Local Government Day, which was a great success. But we do have two reports this evening that were not presented. The treasurer's report. Is there a treasurer's report?
At this time, I'll explain that. Our assistant finance person, she was off sick with strep throat Wednesday through Friday, and she's unable both months. Next month, monthly meeting, maybe the first one I'll do, on the second one. Also, I just it's good for the public and for you as a board, and it's the type of information that I think of, but I'll explain it quickly. PennDOT sent out a schedule of 883 changes, which is drastic. It's up over $1 billion now. But they put the dates way back, well into the future. It's going to be section 2, which is going to be made up of 5 contracts, and I'm just going to give you quickly some dates. First one is going to start digging, as we call it, on 2025 to be finished in 2030. So that's a couple years from now. Contract number 2 is 2026 to be finished in 2030. Contract number 3 will start in 2030 and end in 2033. Contract number 4 is 2030, ending and also in 2033. And final contract number 5, which is all the bridge structures out here that we're dealing with, they're going to start in 2033 and not be done until 2038. So we're like 15 years into the future before this whole project's going to be completed. And you as a board haven't received this. I don't think you knew anything about this, but I just got this, and it's kind of hard to send you. There's drawing. I'll try to post a drawing if anybody wants to look at it. You can see the sections we're going to do. But it's well over $1 billion now, but it's 15 years into the future. So we don't have to worry about traffic yet.
Yeah,
That's all I have at this time.
maybe we could add the preliminary dates to the website.
Yes, I can have Karen do
In
that.
addition, thank you for the update in real time.
Yeah, I mean, they were talking at one time it was going to be done in 2030. Now they're talking 2038. And that's the major bridge, as I have the drawing here, is color coded. That's all of these bridges that are going to have to come down and be replaced. But that's not for 15 years, but that's going to be done. So that's a long ways off.
Thank you.
Yep.
Solicitor's report?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Just a couple items tonight. One is on the stormwater litigation against Norfolk Southern. Parties are still working toward a mediation. There's no date for that mediation yet, but there's been a focus to have HRG, the stormwater engineer, complete a study on the volume of stormwater flow at issue, as well as the approval that we previously approved, which was the in-camera inspection of the stormwater pipe. In the interim, the court has provided new extended deadlines, pretty much extending the deadlines out through the end of 2023. So if the matter does not resolve at mediation, I would expect a trial. Again, we still have a motion pending for remand, but if the matter stays in federal court, at sometime in late 2023 or early 2024. The next item, also dealing with Norfolk Southern, is the tax appeal matter, in which, as you may recall, we, along with Central Dauphin School District and Dauphin County, back in 2020, filed cross appeals as it related to taxes on the Rutherford Yard. That matter was previously scheduled for trial July 17th of this year. We expect that Norfolk Southern will file a motion for continuance of that trial to move the trial for a date certain in either August or September. In either case, I do expect that trial to move forward at some point this year. The last thing is really for the public's benefit. There's no update, but we are still waiting on a briefing schedule in the Smith Land Development land use appeal as it pertains to the challenge to the alterations of the warehouse ordinance. I welcome any questions that anyone may have on any of that.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I do have a question. It's not exactly in relation to this. I don't know if you want me to wait. It has to do with reports. It more had to do with the manager's report, but like we said, that was done last month. So I'll defer to you, Madam President, for when to ask it.
I'm happy to answer any questions regarding reports.
Okay, so I received, again, this has nothing to do with solicitor or treasurer at all. I received a question from a resident about a property on Manor Drive that I believe it was in December, was on our agenda for a repository bid. It's a BMP, Yes. So the resident was concerned that she saw a for sale sign. So I guess the person was attempting to sell it again, and it was for a larger amount, which makes sense because that's why people buy property. But it seemed like it was attempting to promote residential development, which, as we talked about at that meeting, that wasn't an option. I did notice that there was a listing online a few days ago. I looked again today and it was gone, but her request was to see if either you, Jim, as the manager, or you, Robert, could reach out to the selling party to let them know that, like, what the zoning for that area is, which, I mean, it seems like they might have figured it out, but that was her concern, that someone might buy that property thinking they could build a home there and they're not able to.
Well, that's the problem. That's why they need to have an attorney involved. That property is vacant, but it is a BMP.
Right,
It can be bought by anybody,
right,
but they can't build on it,
right,
plain and simple. If they make the mistake of buying it, that is their financial problem. If they mislead people or things like that, then it can be built on. It all comes through our permitting department. We had another case where somebody was attempting to buy some property that had a BMP on it, and you just can't build on it.
Right.
That has a retention area it's dry now, but it does build up. Kevin Traffic informed me of the situation of that property. It was bought by an out-of-state individual that
Right.
saw it at upset sale, and it's not our problem, but it's a legal issue. The county does not state that there's a BMP on any of those parcels. It looks good if you look at it on Google Earth, but
Right.
it's not buildable, put
Right.
it that way. I mean,
okay.
we would be wrong in issuing a permit for building. Am I correct in that, Mr. Eline?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Eline, in the past, it's been incumbent upon the purchaser of the property to look into it and check and make sure that it was something that was buildable or would, fit whatever appropriate use they would be looking to do with that property. Is that correct?
Yes, they need to investigate fully.
So maybe it's just a matter of educating,
the
maybe
problem-
we'll put something on the website, on our codes page, at least letting people know that they should, and reach out and ensure that whatever property they're purchasing is able to be used as such. And then also letting them know when they reach out, you would have to let them know if there's something else they want to do, what our process would be for that.
I mean, the property was sold for $1,000. That's what we approved, but somebody from Iowa,
Right,
pretty sure
I
bought it.
remember, yeah,
And they own property that's not buildable,
right,
plain and simple. But the county doesn't have to foreclose that or disclose that.
Gotcha.
Disclose, that's the proper word with that.
Yeah.
We'll certainly do our best,
right, and
best level.
I think that was the concern of the resident, just to make sure, but frankly, that we're aware that, it was up for sale. But like I said, I checked again today and it seems like those listings have come down. So I hope that means they figured it out, but she's the one that brought it to my attention. So I wanted to make sure that you guys are aware too.
Please extend our thanks.
Yep.
All right, are there any other comments at this time? Okay, moving on to approval of left turn safety improvement at Mushroom Hill Road and Route 322. I'm going to defer to Deputy Chief Stauffer or Chief Ryder.
Yeah, we'll both weigh in on this. So when we became aware that the Dunkin' Donuts was coming in, we received some concerns and quickly agreed that there were potential safety concerns with the left turn lane when you're heading westbound on 322 at Mushroom Hill Road. The way that it exists right now, there's nothing that stops you from cutting that turning lane short and turning left across before the light. And now that the Dunkin' Donuts is there, that is happening with more frequency. We had some accidents here recently, and so it was asked of Lieutenant Kraling to make some recommendations. We contacted PennDOT. We have discussed it with the board, and there needs to be safety improvements made to stop people from turning early out of the left turn lane. They are to be going up to the light.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, Chief.
Oh, I got electrocuted.
I thought I did too. Jesus. Whew, my ticker's going there.
They're to go to the light and make a left, and then they're to have access to the Dunkin' Donuts through the parking lot of the gas station. Look at something.
Thanks, Chief. The other concern we had, and we've seen this over the years, is folks that are leaving what is now the Dunkin' property and the gas station. They're exiting onto 322 and turning left to enter the westbound lanes of 322, which means they're having to cross over two eastbound lanes of traffic that can be traveling between 50 and 65 miles an hour. That's a problem. Also, when they're making that left turn, when they look to their right, there's a line of sight obstruction because there's a Jersey barrier that comes up and ends just before that driveway. And we have seen a lot of near miss crashes there. And we've actually had a couple crashes in the past 5 years there that were pretty significant because of people making that left turn out of the parking lot.
We did ask the owners of Dunkin' Donuts to put a no left turn sign at the location that was just discussed, and he has agreed to do so, as well as the changes being made to the turn lane by the township.
Great, please extend our thanks to him. as well, and-
The type of changes we're gonna be, we have to actually use epoxy to fasten those to the surface of the road. We're not allowed to drill into the surface. It's required, the PennDOT won't touch it for that reason. They're the type that they have the plastic barriers that go up and they're raised somewhat. I did check. It is a traffic violation citation if somebody drives over those. So we'll be able to cite people because a lot of it, I mean, they do bend somewhat with plastic, but it's the only thing we do. Other than that, we're, as a township, we're being somewhat liable, but not falling through and having this done. It's just a good, safe measure because we were coming back from two of our staff was coming back from an event, and here was people halfway down the turning lane to go into Dunkin' Donuts, and they were partially out and onto the westbound lane, left-hand lane, as they come up over the crest of the hill, and it's just a bad situation. So we're not allowed to put the Jersey barriers down to the traffic light, but we are allowed to put these that they're glued in place, and our highway staff is going to be able to do that. I checked with Superintendent Todd, and we're going to do that. It'll probably be night work because of the traffic during the daytime, so it have to be done at night. But it's something that the board is acting on. If they approve this, that's what we plan on doing.
Okay, just for clarification too, this is a project that does fit within our budget. Originally the cost estimate that we see was fairly high.
Yes.
But with our staff doing it, it's come down to $8,000, which is significantly cheaper than what the original safety improvement is, cost estimate for that particular intersection, and anything that improves the safety in that area and protects people is a good investment. So obviously, just wanted to clarify that.
We do have to go through the procedure of having PennDOT approve this to begin with. It's called an HOP, highway permit.
So this is just basically to authorize the expenditure that is in our budget. So is there a motion to approve the left turn safety improvement at Mushroom Hill Road and Route 322?
Motion.
Commissioner Tuckey, is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Varner, is there any discussion?
I would just have one question. What are the names of those delineators? Okay, they have them all up and down in Maryland and Virginia, so I just didn't know the name, so I appreciate that.
There's some nearby in York, in the New York area. We're told about PennDOT.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Are there any negative votes? Seeing none, this expenditure is approved unanimously. Approval of cost sharing agreement for Rutherford paving with Veolia Water, Solicitor Hall.
Thank you, Madam President. I was presented with a cost-sharing agreement, which my office reviewed with Veolia Water for, and the manager or highway department is going to have to correct me if I'm wrong on the numbers, but I think it's a 50-50 cost-sharing agreement for repavement of the road in which repairs were already done to some of the water lines.
I think it is 50-50.
Yes, it is a 50-50 split.
My office has reviewed it and has provided comments. So the only ask that I have, since this hasn't been reviewed by Veolia Water yet, is that any approval will be subject to legal review.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the cost sharing agreement for Rutherford paving with Veolia Water pending legal review?
Motion.
Commissioner Tuckey,
Second.
Commissioner Varner is a second. Is there any discussion, comments?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellis?
I just want to clarify, which I believe I know the answer. We've done this in the past. Yes. Okay. That's what. And I'm assuming this is the same standard agreement. Okay.
Continuation. Of
Yep. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Are there any negative votes? Seeing none, the approval of cost sharing agreement for Rutherford paving with Veolia Water pending legal review is approved unanimously. Item number 17, subdivision land development plans. Director of Code Enforcement, Mr. Eli.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, members of the commission, staff, and citizens. So this first request tells you a little bit somehow these projects can linger, things get forgotten, people change. So this has to do with it was called the Wellington Manor Townhouse development up in Rutherford, which probably goes back to 2010, 2015. But this was the last piece of the project when the developer built a recreation center. It was called the Wellington Manor Recreation Center. The overall project is now known as Sun Point Townhomes. So that recreation center was essentially built in 2016. Just like we would normally do on a project like that, the engineering firm went out, checked to see if all the site improvements were done. So at that time, everything wasn't quite finished. So the letter of credit that township was holding to make sure that the rest of it was done is $5,610. So that was 2017. It kind of sat in the drawer since then until I got a call from one of the vice presidents at First National Bank, who also had that letter of credit sitting in his drawer, and said, can we do something about this? So turns out that back at that time, HRG was the township engineer of record. One of their inspectors was out there. We had a report in the file. He's still with them, so we asked him to go back out, check the project since he was familiar with it. So here we are, 7 or 8 years later, asking for a final reduction of this letter of credit. So the motion for you to consider is the final reduction of the First National Bank letter of credit number 2135 that's being held for Sun Point Townhomes 4 LP by $5,610. The remaining balance would be zero, and the letter of credit would be returned to the bank.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Commissioner Tuckey, is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Varner, is there any discussion or comments? Are there any negative votes? Seeing none, this final reduction of letter of credit for Sun Point Townhomes is approved.
Thank you. Next item, if I can move on. So I think, well, the board well knows, and most of the citizens have heard that the owners of the Harrisburg Mall, which is a company by the name of, there's a brain freeze.
Harrisburg Mall LP.
Yes, Harrisburg Mall LP. So they've asked the Board of Commissioners to consider rezoning their property. I can't point to the zoning map, but if you look at the way the zoning map was constructed along Paxton Street, thank you, Commissioner Ellis, that she's pointing to a big blob of red, which means that right now, today, the zoning of the mall property is general commercial. But if you look at everything else around it, it's all zone limited manufacturing. So tonight, all you're being asked to do is to set a hearing for that petition that's time that you would, after the hearing, hear all the comments from the petitioner and from the public to make your decision whether you want to rezone it or not. So tonight, your motion is just to set a date for that. But I also wanted to see if I had written a memo to the board about if you look at that red area, it's not just the mall property. There's 3 other properties right next to it. One actually, if you picture it, is the Sheets property on the corner of it's Friendship Road and Paxton. There's 2 other properties that abut the mall property along Friendship Road that are also in that general commercial district. So in my memo, I made a recommendation to the board. If you are going to consider rezoning the mall property, that you probably should rezone those 3 as well. And if you're going to do that, maybe in your motion tonight, state that so that those owners need to be notified directly that their property is being changed, the zoning of their property is being changed. So, so you need to set the date for the hearing, and then maybe also include, if you're going to include those other 3 properties, you should probably state that tonight.
So we are going to include the other 3 properties. And is that what the assessment was? That it's okay to include those with the June 14th hearing date?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. So I think it would be appropriate to include, per the memo you have in front of you, the additional properties, 3695 Paxton Street, 421 Friendship Road, and 441 Friendship Road. So what you would need is a motion to set a date for public hearing to consider proposed rezoning for those 4 properties to change them from general commercial to light manufacturing industrial.
Okay, so you'll be reaching out to those properties, and I will entertain a motion to change all 4 properties from general commercial to limited manufacturing.
Motion.
Commissioner Tuckey, is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Varner, is there any discussion? Are there any negative votes? Seeing none, the hearing date is set for June 14th.
Thank you. Solicitor Hall, will your office be drafting the public notice for that?
Surely we can, yeah.
Okay. So, and then once it's prepared, let me know and I'll send it to the 3 other property owners.
Next
Madam
one.
President, yes. Last but not least, it's interesting in our day and age how fast food restaurants and places of convenience seem to cause us traffic problems because everybody wants to go to Dunkin' Donuts. And of course, everybody wants to go to Chick-fil-A. So our favorite Chick-fil-A on Lindell Road. If you've been there during peak times, you've probably experienced some traffic issues up there. The way the lots are laid out, the way the driveway goes in, the way the traffic tries to circulate around the restaurant. So it's not the ideal situation. Not only that, but because of the way the lots were subdivided and developed, there's the adjoining abutting property, which is now the Raymore and Flanagan Furniture store. They are also affected. So the two companies that own these properties are trying to work together to make a sometimes not so good situation better. And actually, when we heard a presentation at the Planning Commission, the owners of Chick-fil-A, the chain, are trying to bring their standards up for restaurants across the country because they're experiencing good success. More people want to drive through and pick up their food, so they have they've kind of engineered a design to help circulate traffic. So what they're showing now, what they're going to try to do is create 3 queuing lanes that will come down to 2 ordering lanes, and then the 2 ordering lanes will move around the restaurant to 2 pickup lanes, and then circle back around through both properties down the driveway and out to Lindell Road. It's still an engineering challenge. We question them a lot. They figured they're hoping that adding it's probably like 25% more queuing volume for cars will help prevent blocking on the driveway. So it's going to be tight, and that's why they need to go to the zoning hearing board for a couple of variances. One is in order for the double drive around driveway to come around the back of the building, they need to probably come within a few inches of the lot line, the neighboring property, which is Sheets. And then, so that would be one variance. And then there also, part of the project will be constructing new canopies. So one will be over the ordering area where their team members will be out there, helping the people put in their orders. And then another canopy where they're going to pick up their food. Some team member has to come out of the restaurant, walk across the traffic to get to the cars on the outside. So they're going to build canopies over that, and they're going to kind of infringe on the required setbacks. So that's the nature of those variance requests. And I believe the date for that hearing is June 18th. So this is just my way of letting you know that this is coming up. If the Board of Commissioners had any reason to send your legal counsel there, that would be up to you. But then, as always, I will represent the interests of the township at the hearing.
Just a question. I have June 15th listed here. Is it, you said 18th, is it the 15th?
You are probably correct. I didn't have it written down, so it's a Thursday night? Okay. Should be.
Double check it.
We'll say it's the 15th.
15th. Okay,
Any
the board is
questions, Jim?
notified, and thank you so much.
All right, thanks. We hope this will help fix the problem.
We'll just post that to Facebook and our website as well.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Are there any visitors' requests and comments at this time? If you want to pull the microphone down, I know we got assistance coming.
I did it so on purpose. I'll get you back.
Thank you. Item 14, I just wanted to mention quick, the motion that I put forward at the school board meeting back in March and passed unanimously that it was Student Government Day would be Richard Bowder Student Government Day. Going forward would be Richard Bowder Student Government Day. The proclamation that Commissioner Ellis read, I believe, said the same. So just if the meeting minutes, it says Local Government Day, if that could be updated, it actually should say Richard Bowder Student Government Day, and going forward, coming up next year, whatever, if that's referenced, it should be referenced Richard Bowder Student Government Day. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other visitors' requests and comments? Seeing none, moving on to possible stormwater violations. Are there any possible stormwater violations for investigation? Seeing none, commissioners' requests and comments, additional business and correspondence. Commissioner Ellis?
Yes. Some of what I'm going to say tonight I had prepared for last week that we had with students, so I didn't get to say these, so I might seem a little bit old, but I would first like to thank everyone that came out for the 10th annual Earth Day cleanup that was held on April 23rd. We had about 30 people. I know we had staff that was present, Deputy Chief Stauffer, as well as Planning and Codes Director Eileen were present. We had Girl Scouts, School Board Director Stephen was there, and then we had lots of other volunteers as well. And Stormwater Coordinator Kevin Trafka was there and provided safety along the road for us. So I just want to thank everyone that came out for that. I also want to thank Commissioner Tuckey for working with the police department as well as admin staff for organizing a successful senior fair that was held on April 26th. The senior committee had been virtually inactive prior to Commissioner Tuckey taking it over, so I appreciate him taking the lead on that and getting something on the books. And I also want to thank all of the vendors that participated, as well as LCBC for hosting, and again, all of the township staff that worked on that event. For last week, I'd like to thank the students and the parents that took the time to be here and participate in the Richard Bowder Local Government Day. They are the future, and the sooner they get involved in local government and politics, the better. So that was my first time getting to participate with that. For the last 3 years. It had been canceled due to COVID. So that was a great experience. So I'm very happy to be able to have participated. And I received a request from Dave Bowder, who's Commissioner Bowder's son, and he wanted me to read an excerpt from the Central Dauphin School District's board meeting minutes that were from March 13, 2023, where they approved the renaming of that Student Government Day to the Richard Bowder Student Government Day. So I'm going to read that real quick. It was item 8.09 on their agenda. It says designation of Student Government Day at Swatara Township or Swatara Middle School. The board recommended the designation of Student Government Day at Swatara Middle School be named the Richard Bowder Student Government Day. Motion was made by Ms. Beth Steven, second of Mr. William Roberts, and it was a unanimous vote. Another request that I had from Dave was that we enter that into these minutes today, if that's possible, which I'll defer that to Karen. But I received that request at the beginning of the week, so I wanted to make sure that I did that for the Bowder family. And I would like to wish all the mothers, mother figures, grandmothers, aunties, what have you, a happy Mother's Day. And I hope everyone that came out tonight has a good night. Thank you for coming, and drive safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Host Commissioner Tuckey.
Yeah. I'd just like to thank everyone that did go out to the Senior Resource Fair on May 26th. I'd like to thank LCBC Church for their facility. It was a great event, well organized, and I didn't hear any complaints at all, which is amazing. No complaints from any of the seniors or participants, none from any of the vendors. Well, we actually have a list of vendors to pull from, over 75 vendors for upcoming events. The senior committee, Detective Chris Seiler, Corporal Brendan Polkrup, Devin, and Karen Allman, they were a big part of why it was as successful as it was. And I appreciate all their help. Also, I appreciate Jeff Warner's help, because over a year ago, he and both Detective Chris Seiler and Jeff Warner met with me quite a few times. We were going over the different ideas and plans. Unfortunately, when Jeff had the senior program, it was during COVID. And unfortunately, there was a lot of things you could not do during COVID. So now we're in full force of trying to do the best we can. Thanks to Jeff and Christine for helping with different things that I've asked for information on and different suggestions. That's what made it work as good as it did. Everyone participated, everyone worked together. Chief Ryder, you and your staff are amazing. I mean, I truly appreciate everyone in this township. Road crew, I mean, you helped tear down, set up, because of everyone's participation and help. That's why it was as good as it was. And I can't wait to see the next one. Also, with other events coming up, every month we're planning on trying to do something for the seniors. Information will be on the website. We do have a list that we actually have in a meeting tomorrow about all the comment cards. We made sure everyone that entered there received a comment card. We wanted to hear good, bad things, anything in the future, what they'd like to see happen in our community. They don't have to be in Swatara Township. It can be outside of it. We want to just try to keep growing and making our community stronger. And I think we've started in a very good step. Not that we weren't already in the past as a community, but I also like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I hope you have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Tuckey. Commissioner Varner.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to Commissioner Tuckey and the entire senior committee and everyone who worked on the senior resource fair event as well. I know we do a lot of good events, but I don't know that I recall one where I had people come up to me and tell me such great things about it. I mean, I had people mentioning that they thought it was one of the best they've been to in the entire central PA area. So I was really impressed and glad to see how well that was and everything turned out. I thought that was great. So thank you to everybody who worked on that. Thanks, Commissioner Tuckey, for your work with the senior committee. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Varner. I echo the comments. Thank you to Commissioner Tuckey and the senior committee for a great event. 75 vendors is very impressive, and 300 seniors, and I think it's an event that's going to continue to grow annually. And thank you to all the staff and your hard work, because without the staff, these events don't happen. So we really, truly appreciate you all, and we appreciate the residents that attended. Also, want to address Local Government Day, and we will add that into the minutes. I think it already was reiterated at the last meeting, but we'll add it into the minutes this time around as well. And I just want to wish all the mothers and grandmothers and everyone out there a happy Mother's Day, and thank you very much for coming out this evening. And so with that said, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Commissioner Tuckey, Commissioner Ellis, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Good night.
He was talking about how we don't receive Right. Well, but I will say, bad anytime. See this, they are lived a good long life. Like, I'm not saying I don't say anything in the 50s. This is like in the 80s and 90s. And, we just lost a neighbor.
This is one party, husband, state trooper, 6 kids. Passed away. Here's some time. That's what she was going through a few months ago. You do whatever you want with your dog. It's kind of shocking. But they knew she was deteriorating. She was out there. So don't listen to my wife, I'll let them kill me. Like, they were not super. It was really thought she was going to say no because it was before that, she'll say, did you pay the insurance up yet?
All right, John, we'll see you Saturday.
All right. You come Saturday? I'll be there next tomorrow.
Do they like that one? Princess? Yeah. Have you? I've never heard of it. I've heard of it, but I've never known anyone that's actually.
Just a little cut. That's the only thing I'm not, like, let me know if they give, send it, give you 100, I'll pick them up and I'll make sure you get 75 of Did you do pre-registration or did you still walk in?
We did a pre-registration, but we're walking in because of all the stuff.
You know what happens? Your events are free and they're good, so people register. And then they have something else to do. They don't show, they don't put any money. So you end up, like, you cut off the entrance number at like 40 or something. And then, then you come in, there's 25 people there. These people just didn't, especially if it rains. If it rains, people don't show up for free events. You just send them. And it's indoors, but we're on the post. Yeah. But I'm just saying, it's kind of like the one time you had people that wanted to do it and you told them they had to wait until another class. And then people,
we had to wait.
Right.
Well, I didn't tell both of us. Because technically we're only out 25.
I will. Oh, I probably will.
People you're
Taekwondo. Remember I said about 500? I think there was one. Yeah, they're both below now. They're creeping down. But then when I said it, I think they had just made it.
And then they lose more.
Right.
But they, Bryce Harper won it.
Well, that's good. And, I did it all about this. The Sixers are surprisingly. All I gotta do is win 1 or 2. Yeah, yeah.
I feel like he's gonna be the test dummy.
But you know, you remember Dave STJ used to work at San Antonio?
Yeah.
But they call their podcast, well, Angie's her sister. Angie's
Michelle.
Michelle's
Yeah.
sister.
I
Michelle?
with their younger
Oh,
sister,
okay.
so that's-
Well, Michelle's husband, Dave,
Yeah.
runs a podcast on his Facebook called.
Yeah, I'll look and see if I can find,
20,000 followers.
I tried.
And they do movie reviews. Well, they invited me on to the show.
I gotta look to see
And it
why.
was very well received last week, but if you want to look it up, listen to it.
Yeah.
And
So
kind of
when I
explain the
searched
investigation, but at the end of
my
it,
desktop, I
final question, I said, what is the best restaurant in Square Township? Give us
I have a
some
feeling
hands down.
when I did it on
Just
this.
that they use Schmidt's Bay. You'll have to-
Yeah, there's a show on Hulu called Only Murders in the Building. Have you ever seen that? So it's Mark Wahlberg. It's really good, but that's the premise, is a podcast about murder mystery stuff.
Oh, Lord, nobody can step in. I've known Dave for a while. There's a guy named Zach. He's on the show. They're all from high school.
They're older than I, but yeah, they're the youngest sisters who
I'm gonna review the videos tomorrow and
They're
see what they did.
Yeah.
And at least so we have a starting point.
The Clean sisters.
They are, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think if that's something they offered and they would, you know, especially with our land, just things like what they say, okay, we just say, hey, this is what, because here's the thing. These things, they all translate into state.
What age?
They were the coach. They were the coach. You look at the one's two older sisters, so it was one is a Michelle. One is a
Andrea?
Coach used to hang around like he was assistant coach.
Yeah.
Because he was running data for the coaches. I mean, that was way back then. They had the level of what you guys.
Gotcha, yeah, that makes sense, because they were. Yeah.
I will listen to it because I hate to hear it. I will.
You said, I'll keep this with,
The white hair dude.
you would tell me never forget.
Oh, wow. They're hilarious. Selena Gomez is actually, the two of them are absolutely hilarious.
All right.